In this video, I want to give you a quick demonstration on how you can move your plugins and other things that you've got from the marketplace from 5.1 to 5.2. And this really goes for most engine versions. There are going to be exceptions, obviously, and dependencies on certain plugins. But for the most part, especially if you know a little bit of what you're doing with C++, you can make ones that have issues and can't compile work. But this is just for the meantime while you wait for people to update their plugins to 5.2. Anyways, so what I've done so far is I have a plugin, mine, that's meant for 5.1, and I just went through and generated the project files, or switched the end version to 5.2 for this project. Now this is a blueprint project, and when I open it, you'll be met with this. If you'd like to rebuild, you can try, yes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm going to give you some alternatives to in the case of it not working. So while I wait for that to do whatever it's doing, I will see you in a second. There it is. So could not be compiled. Try rebuilding from source manually. So, all right. So we know we're going to have some issues. Now, how can we resolve that? First thing being, let's go to the Epic Games launcher. Going to go to the library and create a new 5.2 project. And this one's going to be a C++ project. And this goes on the assumption of you don't have just a spare C++ project laying around. But anyways, go to games. Just going to do a blank. I'll leave it as a remove later, and go ahead and create. Okay, so now I'm here, and project's done being created, it's loaded up and all that, yada yada yada. I'm just gonna let that, I guess, continue doing its thing. So, okay, I guess for whatever reason it decided to load, but let's go and continue on the assumption that it has not. So we're just going to ignore this for the time being. Anyways, we have our new project. We're gonna go ahead and right click, create a new folder called plugins. And we are going to go back to our project here that we are having issues with. Granted, again, ignore this. We're going to go to our plugins, or this would be from your engine's marketplace folder. So it depends on where you have it stored. In my case, I have it in the project. But copy the plugin, paste it in your C++ projects plugins folder. Go ahead, right click, and regenerate project files. I usually do the switch engine version. It does pretty much the same thing. Close all that. So let that do its thing. Hopefully that launching didn't have an issue with it. Okay, now it's finished generating. We're going to go ahead and open the solution. So open it in Visual Studio, Rider, whatever you have. Go to Games, and let it go through, finish loading everything up, which this might take a couple minutes. Alrighty, so after a little bit of time, it's still going through and doing its thing. You'll see we have a plugins folder, as well as the name of the plugin underneath of it. So what we can go ahead and do is, well, for starters, you won't exactly see this in this one. Let me go ahead and copy and paste it in real quick. Alright, so you'll see this. You'll see engine version. So in this case, it's 5.1. What we're going to want to go ahead and do is just change that to a 2. Now, granted, this is just more or less so it doesn't pop up saying you're trying to load a plugin with a different version, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to do that. I'm going to go ahead, right click, and build our solution. Let's give this a couple minutes, or seconds hopefully. And after a little bit, it should go through, and you should be met with build succeeded. Again, Visual Studio is just going to look a little bit different, but the concept is the same. And quite frankly, if you can't figure out how to build in Visual Studio, you're either incompetent or you just need to Google. Anyways, so now that we have that, we now have a plugin built with 5.2. So from here, we can go back. Here we're at our project. You can take this either back to your put it in your 5.2 engine, such as if I go ahead and copy this, I'm going to go to my 5.2 engine install. So we're going to go to Engine, Plugins, and Marketplace does not exist yet because I haven't installed any on it. But go ahead and make a folder called Marketplace. And from here, you can go ahead and paste it right on in. And then you're pretty much good to go. The other option is, and this is what I recommend you do for your plugins anyways, I want to go ahead and cut that so it gets out of there. Go back to my project that I wanted to put it in. And I'm just going to delete and replace and launch. And now as you can see, we are launching right up. No complaints. We're pretty much good to go. Now, the main reason you had to go through and do all that, except for ignore these are from my own sake, which I have to update the demo project for. Main reason you have to go through and deal with all that is because you have to generate the binaries for a specific engine version. So things are going to differ between engines, even though the code is the exact same. It's just kind of got to deal with it. But anyways, that's going to be all for this video. Hopefully this was helpful. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe, give it a like, and if you have any more questions, feel free to hop in my Discord that's also linked down below, and I'll try to help you out. So I'll see you in the next video.